Hello and welcome. Happy Halloween to you. My name's Joe. Joining me on the most spooky day of the year so far is Chris Morris.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Good to finally be free from those chains that bound us for so long.
Yeah, I think my ankle's are still showing the damage.
Yeah. If you don't know what we're talking about, you're in for a treat. It's Halloween and we've put together a very special surprise for our dear fans and listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Our first ever video podcast.
Yeah.
And in true How to Survive style, we tried to put ourselves in the movie.
Yeah.
So we have watched the entire Saw franchise as a marathon whilst chained to a wall like Dr. Gordon and the other guy.
Adam. Yeah.
Dr. Gordon and Adam in Saw 1. We didn't have to saw our feet off, of course. But their video is now live this morning and ready for you to go and watch over on YouTube.
Yeah. How can they find the video?
Head over to HowToSurviveShow.com, our newly redesigned and relaunched website.
Yeah, so looking slick.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Put a lot of thought into that. A lot of time went into that.
Yeah.
What have you been doing lately?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Sitting on your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you'll find the video there and it's good fun.
Yeah.
Set aside half an hour every day for the next 2 or 3 weeks because I think it's the sort of thing you want to rewatch, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also you want to get your friends to watch it, your family members to watch it.
Yeah.
The film lovers in your life.
Yeah.
Horror fans.
Yeah.
Get some friends over. Halloween party.
Yeah.
All
exactly.
sit around and watch it.
Yeah. All Hallows Eve. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's the time of year people come together. Yeah. Pumpkins and watching viral videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
But we thought it'd be worth recapping the 7 movies and what we thought about them as an accompaniment to that video. Because that video is very much, I mean, when you get about 10 hours into a marathon, you start to lose your mind. And therefore the structure that we love about the How to Survive podcast can get lost in the ridiculousness of the situation.
Yeah, the abject misery of suffering through 11 hours of Saw films.
So I sense we've talked about it a little bit, but this is kind of like a therapy session for us both as well, to come together and say, like, we were there that day when we sat through all 7 Saw movies.
Yeah, it's to get the venom out, isn't it, really? And yeah, we should just reiterate, go watch the video.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about the franchise as a whole in this sort of little mini podcast. But really, to get the full experience, you need to watch the video. And these are obviously our thoughts that we've gathered in the interim since the video was made. But really, you're going to want to see our reactions to a lot of the things that happen in the franchise. Because, goodness me.
Yeah, exactly. And there's fun and games to be had along the way as well. It really is a jolly good video.
Fun for not all the family.
Yeah, some of the family, as long as they're over 18. What we'll do now is we'll recap the plots of all 7 movies.
Great.
But normally we break it up with a trailer, don't we? From this, let's break it up with a little bit of a trailer from the video. How about that? How long do you think it takes to actually saw through a bone?
I think you could do it pretty quickly if you're really keen.
Imagine this was actually your leg, though.
Should I do it in time with him on the screen?
Yeah, race him. Yeah. Oh, mate, you're rubbish. Is he out?
I think he might be out, yeah.
Oh, he beat us.
If we'd been doing that, we'd be still chained, but with maybe half an inch
out of a bone, bleeding to death. So, recapping the plots of Saw 1 to 7, spoilers ahead.
Yeah.
Saw 1, 2 men are chained at the ankle in an abandoned bathroom. Their only means of escape is to cut off their foot and then crawl out, I guess. Meanwhile, the police are hunting the man behind it all, the dreaded Jigsaw Killer, a man who puts people in terrible traps as punishment for sins he perceives that they've committed. The traps all require the victim to mutilate or dismember themselves as penance for their sin in order to survive. The police are outsmarted by the killer, who is revealed to be John Kramer, a cancer patient who has become disillusioned at the world. Kramer has been treated by one of the men now chained at the ankle, Dr. Gordon. Gordon cuts off his ankle and escapes.
Saw 2. Donnie Wahlberg plays a police detective who has become emotionally estranged from his son. The son is kidnapped and Donnie tracks down John Kramer at a warehouse. On a video screen, we find the son has been placed in a house with a group of strangers, one of which is Amanda, a victim of a trap in the first movie.
Yeah, the famous reverse bear trap on the head trap.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it's called, verbatim, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, the reverse bear trap on the head trap. The housemates all have to overcome terrible traps in order to survive. Donnie eventually beats the whereabouts of the house out of Jigsaw, but when he arrives, he realizes that the video is being shown on a delay and that the house is abandoned. He is attacked by Amanda, who is still in the house, and is revealed to have been in on the plot all along, having been brainwashed by Jigsaw. Donnie's son is revealed to have been safe all along, and Donnie is left chained in the bathroom from Saw 1.
Saw 3. A brain surgeon is kidnapped by Amanda and ordered to keep an ailing John Kramer alive by performing brain surgery on him. If Kramer dies, the surgeon will be executed by a collar with a series of shotgun shells attached to it. Meanwhile, the brain surgeon's husband is put through a series of deadly traps as a punishment for being unable to move on from the death of his child.
Yeah.
Really knows how to pick his victims, doesn't he, John?
Yeah.
The two plot points converge in the sort of operating room, and it was all taking place in the same building, essentially. And the husband shoots Amanda, who then shoots the brain surgeon, and the husband executes Jigsaw, who reveals that this was his plan all along.
Yeah. He was testing Amanda.
Yeah. It's so contrived, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jigsaw dies, and the collar goes off and kills the surgeon, leaving the husband sealed in a room with the 3 bodies.
Saw 4. At John Kramer's autopsy, a tape is found in his stomach. Detective Hoffman listens to the tape, which is addressed to him, and tells him that the murders will continue. Another police officer named Rigg is put through a series of tests and traps, eventually converging on a steel mill. Donnie Wahlberg and Detective Hoffman have been kept hostage in the steel mill for the duration of the movie, and as Rigg enters the room, Donnie is killed. It is immediately revealed that in another room of the building, the events of Saw 3 are taking place. This is known as a twist and a time jump. Lots of people shoot each other, and Detective Hoffman reveals himself to be the new Jigsaw. An FBI agent named Straum works out Hoffman is behind it, but is sealed in the room from Saw 3.
The game of cat and mouse is afoot.
Yeah.
Saw 5 up next.
Mm-hmm.
Agent Straum, played by Luke from Gilmore Girls.
This was about 8 hours in.
Yeah. I'd already got bored. And now we had Agent Straum and Detective Hoffman locked into a game of cat and mouse. And we learned that Hoffman became Jigsaw for reasons that are still unclear to me.
Yeah.
And it's very confusing. Most of the rest of the movie is filler.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the movie, Straum is crushed to death when Hoffman tricks him.
Yeah.
That's basically the whole film.
Yeah.
It boils down to about 10 seconds of plot and about 45 minutes of flashback.
Yep. Then we move on to Saw 6. Saw 6 sees the owner of a health insurance company put through a series of traps where he has to make a value judgment about people in his life who should live or die. This is perhaps the most interesting concept yet, but it is ruined by the fact that Detective Hoffman's storyline continues to play out. We learn that John Kramer's wife is somehow in on the plotting and she tries to kill Hoffman but fails. That's about it. About 65% of the movie is flashbacks.
Certainly is. And that brings us to Saw 7.
Mm-hmm. Also known as Saw the Final Chapter or Saw 3D.
Yeah, it depends which territory or time you live in, I suppose. Saw 7, a self-help guru claims to have survived the Jigsaw trap. He's revealed to be a liar and is now put through a trap for real. Hoffman and Jigsaw's wife are locked into a game of cat and mouse, which ends with the wife being killed by Hoffman. As Hoffman blows up the building where the movie took place, he's attacked by a group of people dressed as pigs. The leader of the pigs is Dr. Gordon from Saw 1. Remember him?
Yeah.
Hasn't been mentioned since.
No.
And this is the first time we've seen him. Great. All sane people watching the franchise gave up after Saw 2, but anyone still standing begins vomiting into their laps at the ridiculousness of all the twists.
Yeah.
20 minutes of explanatory flashbacks end what turned out to be an incredibly tedious film franchise.
And the point is that it's not just that Dr. Gordon has been, has decided to attack Hoffman because Hoffman's the new Jigsaw. The point is that Dr. Gordon has been working with Jigsaw for the last 6 films.
Yeah, in secret.
Yeah, which is just one of the most unbelievably contrived plot twists that you're ever likely to see.
Let's get down to the brass tacks on this, Chris. What did you think of this film franchise?
Well, I think the obvious thing to say is that it has one of the most staggering declines in quality over the course of the films that I've ever known from a film franchise.
It's less of a slow downturn and more of it goes like imperceptibly fast from being on a slow decline to being like the center of the earth.
Yeah. Like one is a good, simple thriller, which unfortunately has a sort of detective B plot with Danny Glover phoning it in.
Danny Glover that's the worst performance I've ever seen from maybe anyone ever.
Yeah. But other than that, it's a, simple thriller, decent if slightly preposterous twist at the end. Saw 2 is about 15 minutes shorter than Saw 1, which gets it points.
Yeah.
And also like moves along at quite a good pace. You've got Donnie Wahlberg in it, who is a compelling actor to have in a lead role.
Yeah.
And it's again got a good twist, right? Those two films are good in inverted commas.
Yeah.
The rest are utterly atrocious, almost without merit throughout.
Yeah.
Saw 5 being the absolute nadir of those.
Do you think Saw 5 might be one of the worst movies we've ever watched?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's
on
genuinely
duty.
like you can't. It sounds like a cheap joke that we're making when we say that 65% of the film is flashback.
Yeah.
But it genuinely feels like that.
Yeah.
And the even worse is when, as we did in the marathon, and you can see in the video, we watched them back to back.
Right.
Half of the film that you're watching, you've seen like 40 minutes ago.
Not even that, like sometimes minutes ago, because in the opening scene you get flashbacks. And
like the opening scene of almost all of them is the final scene from the previous film.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating.
Yeah.
Like they are bad films.
Yeah. Do you think they're worse than the Friday the 13th franchise?
They're different in that I feel like Friday the 13th, even though the original is good, it's still only good on that sort of campy slasher level.
Yeah.
Whereas Saw is like, it has aspirations of being a sort of Seven-esque, like noir, thriller, horror hybrid.
Yeah.
Which, it sort of, how much it lives up to that, depends on your mileage, I think.
Yeah.
But it's a good film, and Saw 2 is like a natural progression of that into like a more typical Hollywoody horror thing.
Yeah, it's done well, so there's a bit more budget behind it, basically. Yeah.
But like I think with the Friday the 13th films, they are knowingly ridiculous.
Right.
And they, wear that openly, because you've got things like Jason is a revenant who vomits up a black slug that crawls into other people,
right,
and all that sort of thing. Whereas with this, I genuinely think that they have aspirations of being like an incredible like crime story arc.
They think they're
over
true
the
detective.
course of the series. Yeah, and it's like some of it is like worse than student film.
Yeah.
It is appalling.
Yeah, it is. It's what I don't understand. Presumably, the director would have changed 3 or 4 times throughout the 7 movies.
Yeah,
and you get the feeling that the morals of the directors play a big role in it,
right?
Because in the first one, you've got like you said before, it has aspirations to become the next 7.
Mm-hmm.
Where in 7, someone's being published for breaking one of the 7 deadly sins, and that's where the 7 comes from, right?
Yeah.
And also, but as a foil to that, you have the detectives who have their own aspirations and they have their own philosophies, which play a role in the outcome of the movie.
Yeah.
Whereas you've got in Saw, people being punished for taking their lives for granted. That is what it's supposed to be at the beginning. So you've lived your life, taking it for granted, and it could be a drug addict, it could be someone who was a rapist or a child molester. These things where people have done wrong and now have to pay a penance.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of vigilante. But eventually in these movies, you get to the point where people being punished are people who have worked too hard in their jobs as police officers.
Yeah, they try and save too many people.
Yeah.
You can't save everyone. That's not a message that that's not a moral that you can convey through the medium of killing multiple people.
Yeah, and I think the husband who is put through the traps because he can't get over the death of his child.
Yeah.
like he went one way. I think he became like a dead set on revenge, and now he finally gets a chance to have the revenge. And that's not compelling because it's like, would find
yeah,
you would want revenge, I think.
But it's just like so much of the film. If you actually, I mean, the way it's presented is just like this really schlocky, like flimsy characterization of everyone involved. Whereas if you actually stop and think about it, it's just sad.
Yeah,
it's just a sad situation for everyone involved. Like a man is really like chronically depressed because his son got run over by a car.
Yeah, and then is put through grueling tests where he also can't save other people.
Yeah,
because the odds are so badly stacked against him.
Yeah,
and he has to dismember himself. It's ridiculous. I think the weirdest trap for me was in Saw 6, which is the health insurance guy.
Yeah.
And the last trap he has to go through, he's got all of his like employees on a roundabout, like a children's
like a playground
roundabout, and it's rotating. And when it stops rotating, a shotgun like levels down at their face, and he's able to save their life by pushing a button in this machine. But when he pushes the button, the hydraulic press comes down and breaks a bone in his hand. And he has to decide whether he can put up with that pain to stop the shotgun going off and killing them.
Yeah.
While it spins around almost at random, it seems. And it's cut like... So you can't really tell what's going on for most of it.
Yeah.
And it's just shrieking and shrill, and it's come a long way at that point from, like, would you cut off your foot to survive?
Yeah. There's no rowing back from that.
It's so bizarre. In the 127 Hours, James Franco film based on the true story of the guy who got his arm pinned and cut it off to survive.
Yeah.
Right? You can put yourself in that situation and think, would I be able to cut off my arm to survive? Would I be able to cut off my ankle to survive Saw 1?
Yeah.
Would I be able to, theoretically, would I be able to cut open a stranger to get a key out of them?
Yeah.
You can't really put yourself in, like, could I walk across some balance beams whilst guiding a blind man towards me so that he can get to me because I have the key to release him from the thing that will hang him?
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing.
Yeah. Can I successfully convince my boss to murder one of my colleagues instead of myself?
Yeah, by breaking a bone in his hand.
Because I worked for a company.
Yeah.
That's my crime. But like the flashbacks, it's like they're trying to reward sort of fans of the franchise. But it's nothing other than incredibly frustrating to watch.
Yeah. Do you know, like, we always say fan service is like not very welcome, right?
Yeah.
There's a way of doing fan service. Like if in Saw 2 they'd been in John Kramer's warehouse, his studio, and they'd walked past one of the traps from the first one, and you'd go, right, I recognize that. And you go like, there's a smugness that comes with it.
Right.
And like in Rogue One, this isn't spoilers, I don't think, to say that there's a scene where C-3PO, who isn't in the film other than that, steps out of the shadows and says like, oh, hello, I'm C-3PO. And you as the audience, you're meant to go, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
And feel a little bit warm inside.
Right.
In this, I think you're about to make the same point. The idea, like, fan service is playing you parts of previous films.
Yeah. It's like if C-3PO stepped out of the shadows and then we had like a 5-minute flashback of like C-3PO in A New Hope going, Mr. Skywalker, I really think that you shouldn't be doing that. And then like, it cuts to him on Bespin in like bits. And then it's like, it goes all the way back to the Phantom Menace and like Anakin's building him. Yeah. And then like it cuts back to C-3PO and he's going, oh, that ship's going off to another planet. Like, and that lasts like 7 or 8 minutes, like unbroken.
But also shot through like almost black and white, but not quite.
Just,
the colour drained out of it.
It's hideous. It's hideous. And like repeated imagery is fine, but like repeating whole scenes with like impossible to predict new context is absolutely desperate. Like when it's just like, oh, like, you see, I don't know, like the twist happens at the end of a film and then like you get flashbacks to all the scenes that character's been in throughout the film. Yeah. And it's like, oh, you didn't realize that at this point she was evil. Like she was actually doing a bad thing when she said this. Like,
so in the first one, John Kramer's revealed to be Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And it's shown in flashbacks that he was actually there in all the exposition scenes and he had motive, and it's sort of the flashbacks are used to clarify something that would make sense anyway.
Yeah.
To say all you have to say is, oh, it was one of his patients who was disillusioned with the fact that he was going to die and decided to take it out on the doctor.
Yeah.
That's kind of a mad excuse, but it's like you can understand that.
Yeah.
But like you say, with the Amanda twists, particularly at the end of Saw 3, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Because it requires...
Because it's not just... There's like 5 twists that happen within the space of about 3 minutes.
It shows you clips from Saw 1 and 2, and then things that happened immediately after those scenes. And you're meant to be like, all right, this new information changes everything. But it's not satisfying in a murder mystery to have things... To have clues that you couldn't possibly have known.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's somehow even worse than having it spoon fed to you, because it's like simultaneously going, oh, you didn't spot this, but is also going, you didn't spot this, but also here's every detail filled in about why this is the case.
Exactly.
It's exhausting.
Like if you were reading The Hound of the Baskervilles, I haven't read it, so this point might not stand, but I assume there's a point where if you stop before like the last few chapters and wrote down all the clues you have, you'd be able to draw.
You might be able to, exactly.
You'd be able to draw it and say,
that's the basis of a good detective novel.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You can be the detective.
Yeah, you have a list of suspects and you figure it out.
Whereas in Saw 5 or whatever, it's like,
Saw 7 is the absolute peak of it,
because the only information you get about who done it is 5 minutes at the end of a film which is packed with information that was otherwise completely unavailable to you.
Yeah. And also, again, it's not just that it's like, he's taking revenge on this guy who's like soured Jigsaw's legacy or whatever. But it's like, he was also involved in all of these other traps that you saw throughout the franchise. But he was involved the whole time. And like, maybe you should have realized that Jigsaw, despite the fact that he can build enormous elaborate contraptions, there's no way that he could possibly sew someone's eyelids shut. It's absolutely ludicrous. And I think this plays into another issue, which is that obviously there's 7 films, and here's a list of the significant characters from all 7 films.
Go
on. Jigsaw.
John Kramer.
Yeah. He's dead by the 3rd one.
Yeah.
Hoffman.
But bear in mind, he still appears in every single one.
Yeah. Detective Hoffman.
Hoffman's the next Jigsaw.
Amanda.
Yeah.
She's dead by the 3rd one.
Yeah.
Lawrence Gordon. Yeah. He's only in the 1st film and 5 minutes of the 7th one. Right. Jill, who is like, I've never seen it so obvious that they just hired a model for like one flashback scene, and then they felt compelled to have her like bring her back in like the other 4 movies.
It's the same as the journalist in like Saw 4 and 5.
Yeah, it's like they were only allowed to hire a certain number of actors for the whole franchise, and they ran out after Saw 4. Yeah. So they just had to go back and go like, oh, this person was like a milkman in Saw 2.
Yeah.
And like
they're
now,
still somehow under contract.
Yeah. And Cecil. That's it. That's all of them.
Is it?
So Jigsaw, Hoffman, Lawrence, Amanda, Jill, and Cecil is basically the only important characters in the whole thing. The only characters who have any influence on the arc of the narrative.
You think Straum not included?
No, because what does he do other than go, oh, I've realised who Jigsaw is, now I'm dead.
Yeah.
Outside of them...
Ben from Lost?
He has no effect on the narrative.
Yeah.
Outside of them, it's a parade of like bland, charisma-free like ciphers that come in, get caught in traps and die. And like, I mean, out of all of them, Lawrence and Adam, who's the other guy who gets chained to the wall in the 1st film, they're the only 2 good performances in the whole franchise.
You're not a fan of Tobin Bell as Jigsaw?
Tobin Bell in Saw 2 is passable. Yeah. And then after that, it's like he's read the script 5 minutes before he's they've started rolling. Yeah. And
sometimes he's still reading, they're just holding up flashcards for him and he's going like, oh, detective.
But there's this whole like dialogue. I mean, it doesn't help the fact that the script is diabolical. Yeah. Like there are whole dialogue scenes which are just things like, you don't know me. Oh, I know you. It's just like, shut up.
I've been looking for you longer than you've been looking for me.
Yeah. Oh, I've been looking for you for a long time. Like, shut shut up. Honestly, it's absolutely infuriating.
Yeah.
Anyway, go watch our video.
Yeah. But I think another thing about the list of people you just named.
Yeah.
So go through that again, just real quick.
Jigsaw, Hoffman, Lawrence, Amanda, Jill, and Cecil.
Right. Now, those people are, like you said, the big players who come through all the movies. And what's the common denominator? They're all like the most important people. If Jigsaw,
Cecil,
John
by the way,
Kramer,
Cecil is just like involved.
If John Kramer wrote down a list of the people who most affected his own life, these would be it.
Yeah.
These are like John Kramer's friends and family. They were the people. These are the people who would come to his funeral.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
But it's like by the 6th or 7th film, it's like, I don't know, like you'd have a film and it's like someone who works in a tax office and he's like, been conducting massive tax fraud that gets blamed on like poor working class families. And you're like, oh, that's an interesting message. And then like halfway through the film, there's a reveal that he did the taxes for John Kramer and John Kramer was bankrupted for it. And you're just like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah.
Like,
there's someone being punished for a moral crime.
Yeah.
But it happened that they specifically were immoral to John Kramer.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the whole point of like 7 to keep bringing it back to that example because it's so obviously what it's trying to emulate. Like the serial killer in 7 is very clearly like at odds with society and like societal issues, which is why he's like just doing it to random people. Like he's not related to the people, which is what makes it so disturbing as well, because he's like a pure moral person. Whereas with Jigsaw, it's like that, but it's only the people who have wronged him. Yeah. So it's like a guy who spilt a drink on him in a bar like 15 years ago. And it's like, you never hold your drinks properly. Now you must hold these like molten drinks or
all your life you've struggled to hold drinks.
Yeah.
Now let's see how drinks hold you.
Yeah, like it's just it's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating.
Yeah, rubbish. Now let's wrap that up, Chris. It's Halloween. These people
get
got
on with their
places to be.
lives.
Yeah. And do you know what they're going to do next?
Yeah.
They're going to, as soon as this stops, I know that you don't want to miss a second of this podcast, that's fair enough. But we're going to give you a nice run up now. We're going to point you in the direction of the video again, and we're going to run through our social accounts, and then we're going to stop. And the thing you need to do after that is just press play on that video that you've already got up. Now, the video is at HowToSurviveShow.com. It's also available on Twitter, where you can also follow us, which is at HowToSurvivePod. It's also on Facebook, facebook.com/HowToSurvivePod. Now, if you've got thoughts on how you'd survive in Saw, email in HowToSurviveShow@gmail.com. And we'll be glad to hear from you.
Yeah.
And this probably felt like a tirade, to be honest.
Yeah, and it was.
Yeah.
It felt like that because that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can really absorb how infuriating it was unless you watch the video.
Yeah.
So it really is worth watching.
Yeah. And sharing with at least 100 of your friends.
Yeah, please. And obviously all this is sort of tied into the fact that there is, of course, a new Saw film out. Jigsaw is out in cinemas now.
Yeah. We've tactfully not mentioned it for the entire episode here because we want to throw ahead to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Where we talk about it for an hour.
Yeah. But it's, our podcast on Jigsaw, How to Survive Jigsaw, episode 116 of the How to Survive podcast is out tomorrow.
So in summary, Chris, how would you survive any of the Saw franchise so far?
Well, I'd just go to the video and watch it and learn all I need to do that way.
Yep. Good idea. HowToSurviveShow.com. We'll see you there. And finally, you'll see us too. Yeah. Happy Halloween. See you next year.